Well, a very good morning to you, Alfred Nyakum, and your wife Joyce. And I hope you enjoyed your weekend. And please do have a good day as well. You're the HR manager for Road Safety Management Services Limited, and your company, I know, deals in road safety activities and making sure that the roads are safe by removing broken down and towed vehicles on our roads. And do enjoy your day as well. Okay, and now we have to do our discussions, and we'll have to start off with introducing my topmost guest for the morning. He was a spokesman for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia back in 2008. Had to travel out in 2012 period of the elections, and now he's back in the country helping the cause of his party. We're talking about Ibrahim Ajay. Thanks for joining me, Ibrahim.
Thank you very much, Roland.
Okay,
a very
and
good morning.
yes, a very good weekend for your party.
It was.
Okay,
it was, and for Ghana.
Okay.
And for Ghana.
Well, for Ghana, we'll have to
sure.
wait whether it will be for Ghana 2016. But it was a good weekend for your party because the election just went well.
Yeah.
Nana, of course, emerged winner with 94.35%.
It was an extraordinary weekend. And firstly, congratulations to our presidential candidates, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, by God's grace, inshallah, the next president of the Republic of Ghana. And the whole event, I think it's a testimony not only to NPP, because the credits and the laurels also go to Ghana as a whole, in terms of how we are deepening democracy within Ghana here, and of course across the continent. You'll find that a lot of other political parties, both within Ghana and outside, will seek to replicate our model about how we can effectively expand the Electoral College and make sure that the will of the people are a key ingredient in determining who becomes the leader of this country. And I think what we've done in a peaceful, democratic, transparent manner is of course, not only a credit to the NPP, but I believe Ghana. I think it's high time in politics that we seek to extend whatever good we do to the wider society, because it's a society that makes a nation. And it was a very, very, as I say, a momentous occasion. I was at Rapture in Lejokuku, monitoring the voting there, and a nice, amicable environment where everybody was geared up, Roland. You saw democracy as it should be, a coming together of like-minded people seeking to elect their leader. And I think that was replicated across the country.
Was it surprising the percentage of votes Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo seemed to have had, and really its a resultant effect on what the outcome was for one of the main contenders, Alan Kwadwo Kyerematen?
What was the...
was it surprising?
It wasn't surprising. In fact, you had the antecedents of this go back way back into 2012, where, if you recall, across all media, social, radio, TV, print media, and also within the ubiquitous marketplaces, as we say, the vox pop, the voice of the people within the NPP, and also without the NPP, was saying that if there's no Nana, there's no vote. And this started in 2012 when Nana took a sojourn to London, if you recall. And that was the mantra. And then come the super delegates, where Nana got 81%. You saw that Nana's currency was on the ascendancy. It always has been, but now I believe that things have come to a head, not only within the country, but within the NPP, whereby we recognize, the need for Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to lead this great nation, Ghana, given where we are. And I think all these factors coalesced and aligned to make sure that the victory you saw, the overwhelming majority, was in fact a reflection of the mood of the people. As I say, you can see its antecedents way back in 2012, 2013. And for me, it was no surprise whatsoever in terms of the margin of the victory.
Now, there are critical issues that also need to be perhaps also addressed by the party and the executives. And I believe just a day or two before the vote, there were comments back and forth between the two camps of Alan and Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. How critical is it that the executives tend to deal with those aftermath effects of those comments? from the election
Sure.
period?
Oh, it's very critical. You know, a house divided can never win. And it's important, and which is why the first paragraph of Nana's speech talked about unity and making sure, and he has done that before. I mean, the audit of Nana Addo's unifying talents are well known. I'm talking from 2008, where every single aspirant, you recall there were 17 at the time, was involved within the campaign in 2008. Likewise in 2012. And so, I mean, that's one of the key elements about Nana Addo. He's a nation builder. And of course, before you become a nation builder, you become a party builder, a unifier. And so
You say he's a nation builder?
He's a nation builder, absolutely. If you look at what Nana has done throughout his political career, it's always been about putting the people first. The Kumi Preko marches that happened. It's about, you're seeing the people being suppressed, and you need somebody to champion that voice. And that's what Nana Addo has done all this while. And so when it comes to unifying, as you mentioned, there were critical issues from both camps being discussed or being highlighted. And so it's important that the leadership takes that, as we say, the bull by the horns, and make sure that we address those concerns. Whenever there is a political campaign, issues will come up, some valid, some not so valid. But it would be, I think, dismissive of anybody to somehow put it under the carpet and say, you know, we won't deal with it. We will deal with it in a way that unifies the party, whereby people's concerns will be thoroughly addressed, interrogated, and so there's a sense of understanding and cooperation between the two. The politicking has now finished, and now it's about making sure that we present to the people of Ghana Nana's vision for transformation and making sure that we partner. Nana Addo's government is about partnering the ambitions of Ghanaians, their social ambitions, their economic ambitions, their health ambitions, their educational ambitions, and their own aspirational ambitions for them as a people. When we say development and freedom, it's about having the freedom to choose how you can add value to your life, you know, and we want to do that in a free society. And so, you know, there'll be that, let's say, largesse of political thought being allowed to be part of the electoral process. So everybody will be on board. It'll be a hands-on. It'll be a leadership that is inclusive, and that has been Nana's trait all along.
So, well, the inclusiveness will mean what? The other two candidates and even those who backed out of their initial intention to contest the whole elections?
Yes, I mean, there were 7 aspirants altogether. 2 were eliminated beforehand.
And then 2
Dr. Apraku and Nasser D.
Yes,
and then yes, Honorable Kofi Osei Ameyao, and then of course Honorable Joe Gatti as well. Then dropped out of the race to support Nana's candidacy. Likewise with Honorable Adainumo and Honorable Alan Cheramantin. Nana's leadership is about inclusiveness. And let me give you an example of his inclusiveness. In 2009, Nana recognized that it was important for our democracy to expand the franchise to the polling stations, which is why we had in excess of 130,000 people voting, Ghanaians. And I quote unquote, I don't want to even say ordinary Ghanaians. For me, Ghanaians are extraordinary. So for Nana, it was about making sure that those of us, and I include generally, extraordinary Ghanaians were given the mandate. And that's the mark of inclusiveness.
Well, we don't understand, but that is also stemming from the contest that took place in 2007 when your party had in excess of 17 or 16 people, and 17 people actually contested.
Yes, yes.
And that resulted in concerns being raised, not only within your party, but also the wider political public.
Sure.
That stated that, well, it would be more prudent if you restricted the number that would contest. And subsequently also that resulted in the expansion of the electoral college system.
Yes.
And now you have even introduced a collegiate system.
That's it.
That is, if you have in excess of more than 5 people who want to contest the presidential election.
I agree.
We're told consistently over the period of the last few months that the 100 240 in excess delegates that you have is the widest electoral college or electoral register you can ever find within a particular party in Africa. Now, how does that tend to reflect alternatively in the other democracies as we have them in practice in Africa?
I think what it does is it shows the other democracies within Africa that there is a way in which you can manage inclusivity. In 2008, or rather 2009, when we were looking to expand the electoral college, you know, we met at a special congress at La Trade Fair. It was called Reflect, Rebuild, Recapture. You had certain quarters who were against expanding. And of course, Nana Addo was one of the stalwarts. In fact, one of the key pioneers who was saying, no, let's expand it. If we can trust 25 million people to vote on December 7th, why can't we trust our own polling station executives to do likewise? Because the arguments against expanding it was that it would be cumbersome, it would not be, the cons were more than the pros. Nana Addo said no. I am an advocate of democracy. I've been championing democracy. It's about putting Ghana and Ghanaians first. So let the Ghanaians decide. And so he expanded the Electoral College. And I think the way in which we've done it, to answer your question, Roland, is what will inspire other democracies within Africa. Especially, I would hope, Nigeria as well. Because within Nigeria, if you look at the PDP, ACP, and ANPP as well, the key parties within Nigeria, expanding their gubernatorial processes when they're electing governors and senators. It helps.
Now you have chosen your candidate, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, somebody who is a stalwart in your party, and over time has also gained that very credibility within your party as well. How does he overcome some of the perceived unpolitical-ness, perhaps, of his personality? And from 2007, his opponents have always said he speaks almost like you, very much accented in the British language. Two, doesn't perhaps appeal to so-called floating voters, and also outwardly or aesthetically doesn't exude the aura of somebody who appeals to the ordinary man.
You know, that's a propaganda coming from our opponents, the NDC, because in the last elections, you had 5 million Ghanaians who took a totally different view and disregarded that propaganda. You have in Nana Addo, and you see it across board, whereby there's a genuine affection for the man. The humility is well known. And when you say he speaks like me, or that we have an English quote-unquote accent, when we're speaking English, Nana's not a fake person. He's very real. He's very genuine, and he's authentic. And that's how he speaks. And of course, when he speaks the local language, excuse me, just to go a little local with my language, when he's speaking Ga or Twi, it's fluent, and you can't tell the accent. You know, and in terms of politics, people always pick on something and try to highlight it, but it doesn't work. Because when Nana Addo is speaking Twi, it's fluent and it touches you. When he's speaking Ga, it's fluent and it touches you. A lot of people often think, like myself, when they hear me talk, they think I just came off the plane. She came bon Ganyuemo, ni Portugal Juba. Hey, no name meje. As my yoga again. Touching your crown, hello. So you see, when I speak Ga, you don't know that I just came. And I've been here for 19 years in Ghana here. I travel back and forth. But
your accent hasn't changed. That's wonderful.
Yes, I mean, you know, it's, without digressing on the issue, it's how I am. I don't want to pretend to be talking pidgin when it's not me. Because I didn't grow up in Ghana. We left Ghana when I was 5. But anyway, I'm digressing now.
You're telling us your life history.
Yeah, a little bit. I wanted to make the point on that issue, that Nana is a genuine person. When he's speaking locally, you feel it. And it's not about how he speaks, but it's about what he communicates.
Okay, now let me tell you, for example, I have this for somebody I want to invite on this very platform as well.
Okay.
He's an HR practitioner, Alfred Nyakon, says, well, that be the problem. So now it's about making sure that you get in touch with even those who are not of your ilk.
Sure.
who are not MPP.
Yes.
Yes.
And we do that. I mean, if you look at our executives, it's across every demographic, every ethnic demographic within Ghana is represented. And he talks about Brofonkwa. When Nana Addo is speaking, because, I mean, we were at La Paz, and Nana Addo was speaking. There was a small section where he spoke English, but a large section which he spoke Twi. Then you have, of course, others speaking Ga, Dagbani, and then you have others speaking Adan as well, Ga and Dangme, and Fanti as well. You know, the NPP has always been about a unifying body representing Ghana. The original NPP, as we call it, the Northern People's Party, SK Dombo and co. You know, I mean, you saw Northerners and Southerners coming together for a common cause, which was Ghana. And so that has been part of our political heritage and DNA. And so when somebody says, oh, Brofonkwa, I look at the way in which Nana Addo speaks across board. Wherever he goes, he makes sure that he connects with the local interests of the people. And it's the local languages that we speak in and that we communicate in. And that is borne out if you look at our executives. Every ethnicity is represented at leadership level. And just to touch on what you mentioned earlier as well, Roland, regards to the perception. I think you'll find that propaganda aside, Ghanaians generally, that's why I cited the 5 million voters who believe in Nana Addo, his vision for Ghana, and the peace and the prosperity that he affords, and the vision that he can bring to Ghana as a whole. Okay. But the key thing is this. You find that across board here, and it's interesting when you listen to radio stations across the length and breadth of Ghana, where you have people who may not necessarily be in the NPP fold, but they recognize that this is a peaceful man, a man who actually means what he says. And then you'll hear people saying that, well, the propaganda against Nana Addo, especially after the Supreme Court, doesn't bear the reality of this humble man who is so endearing. And that is the hallmark of Nana Addo. That propaganda, I believe, has been quashed. Okay.
Ibrahim Ajay is with the NPP, and we will again be coming back to you. But then Fred Agbenyo is with the NDC. He is a member of the NDC's communication team, and he's right here in the studio. He'll be joining us shortly, and we'll be asking him whether, well, the NDC, they need to be shaken in their own boat, especially when Nana has been retained for the NPP for the 3rd time running, and likely going to contest against incumbent president John Dramani Mahama come 2016. We're taking a break now. We'll be right back. We'll invite into the discussion Fred Agbenyo.
I am profoundly grateful and truly humbled by the massive confidence you have reposed in me. You have put an enormous responsibility on my modest shoulders. But I want to assure you that I shall do everything humanly possible under the guidance of Almighty God to justify your confidence. I congratulate my opponents, Alan Kojo Trematin and Honorable Francis Adai Nimo, for their competition, and appreciate the gracious call that Alan Trematin made to me earlier this evening about my victory. I congratulate also those who did not make the short list of 5, and those who did, but dropped out of the race to support me. My good friends, Honorable Joe Kate and Honorable Kofi Osei Amia. We will all cooperate and work together to advance the cause of the NPP and Mother Ghana. That is what the people of Ghana and the membership of the NPP expect of us. We have now to gird up our loins, put ourselves together, and get ready to face the big battle of 2016.
Fred Agbenyo is with the NDC. a member of the NDC's communication team. Thanks for joining me, Fred.
Thanks, welcome.
Your comments on Nana's election over the weekend.
Welcome, thank you very much. Let me say good morning to our viewers. I saw you over the weekend. I saw you on television. I saw you reporting, and the exuberance and the happiness which you reported. It was very exciting, really. Anyway, let me start off by congratulating Nana Addo for retaining their flag bearership for the 3rd time. It's not an easy job. At a point, I was wondering, Nana Addo at his age, I've had the opportunity of contesting elections before at all levels. I remember back in Legon when I was contesting for a JCR position, climbing from one room to another, the blocks. It got to a point I had to get me energy drink to be able to continue. A young man that I was. So at his age, for him to be able to move around the whole of this country, talking to people and campaigning, hey, it's not a child's play. I mean, under a race now, I'm going for the deputy propaganda secretary.
Yes,
so yeah, it's also a national election. So really, he's done well. We want to congratulate him and for winning the victory again. I think that the hurdle ahead is what is most important. But something happened. I don't know, and I have to be corrected. If this data is correct, we are told Nana Akufo-Addo obtained 94.35% of the vote. Is that not so? And then Alan Kyerematen obtained 4.75%. And then Dainimo obtained 0.91%. If you put all together, it's giving me 100.101%. I don't know how mathematically that happened. If it is correct, you can check. It's not 100%, it's there. It is 101%. I don't know how that happened. So if your whole internal, go and check the mathematics well. It's becoming one to me. When you're going to for the court case, to a similar thing happened. The figures were not tallying and adding up together. I don't know where that came from. I think that Nana Addo is most welcome. I heard this victory speech where he described President Mahama as clueless, incompetent, and blah, blah. They want to remove the NDC administration.
No, we'll come to the subject of what's the content of the whole political debate will be as he gets to contest.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. I mean, just about the organization by the NPP.
I think that so far, we didn't hear too many problems. A few happen, it is normal. A large political party, 141,000 people going to a contest, going to vote in an election. You can't expect everything to be smooth. A few people step on each other. But on the whole, I've heard the police, I've heard the electoral commission. They thought that they cooperated very well with them. They did a very good job. To that extent, you have to commend them. The MEP delegate, they showed faith in Nana Addo. I was monitoring along the lines they were campaigning, and I thought that Mr. Alan Kyerematen he had a campaign message. He was saying, for instance, if you vote for me, I'm going to build a new party headquarters for you. If you vote for me, I'm going to make sure that at the end of every month, you, the delegates, your party agents, wherever you are, we are going to be paying you salary. If you vote for me, transportation to and from places for party activity is going to be a thing of the past. I'm going to make sure that you are self-sufficient, you can raise your own money and all that. As I speak now, I am not too sure the message Nana Addo presented to the people. Nevertheless, this Alan Kyerematen's campaign message didn't really fly with the people. They didn't buy into it. They bought into Nana Addo. I don't want to believe that clear case, okay, let's just show him the favor, the man has struggled enough, let's see how it goes. We are told a day before the election, Nana Addo and his campaign team were moving around because the party headquarters had informed them that they didn't have resources to transport the delegates to the various polling stations. So they had money in some vans and they were, roaming around the country.
That's just an allegation.
It's not an allegation.
Okay.
They called
because what the National Secretariat came to say, and I remember Kwabena Agyapong, who is the GS for the party, precisely said that it was not the party's duty to be giving out money to delegates. He said they
were not into the spirit of volunteerism.
Yes. So if the candidates were helping some of the delegates, that was just part of the whole party system of making sure that you help each other.
One would have thought that if you really want to help the system, if the national leadership thinks that they don't have enough resources, they don't want to continue what they've always been doing, giving money to delegates to move, then one would have thought that the 600,000 Ghana cedis that you have, you give it to the general secretary and the chairman to find a way of distributing that money around the delegates.
Okay, that's your point.
That's right. But he himself and his campaign team, whichever way.
You thought that was wrong? That was an inducement?
Well, it is not for me to judge. It's an inducement or not. It's not for me to conclude on that. The point I'm making is that I thought they should have done it through the party main structure, the chairman involved.
So if you know you have the resources to help.
can bring it
So
on
why
board.
don't you bring it to a
That's
center?
right. But for you to move your campaign team a day before the election, the night before the election, I'm not too sure
It's fair.
It's fair, or give out the right signal out there. But hey, that is the way they want
I think
to
that's
go.
a good point you're
That's
making
the way
in there.
they want to go.
At what point, as political parties, when you need the vote most, do you say I need to refrain from certain activities that perhaps could be misinterpreted and misrepresented?
You see, you need to be very calculative. This is an internal election. After this, you have the bigger one ahead of you.
Well, we do understand, but it's a well-heated internal election.
I agree. So if you go about it this way, and the other people felt that first lighted, okay, you muzzle me out, use resources to push me out, you won. Okay, we are now going to the main one. On platforms, you come and speak nicely. I'm a part of you. I'm going to support you 100%. I'm going to campaign with you. They are in there and then they peace in. It is more dangerous.
Meaning what? Peace
You
in means
understand?
what? They may not go along with you during
They
the
will go
voting
along
day.
with you. They'll be with you. They'll be campaigning.
but
the
any other
things they
ballots,
do,
in the
no,
ba-
no. You see,
They will not
dynamics-
vote for you, is
They
that what
will
you're
vote
saying?
for you. They may vote for you.
They may vote,
but
yeah.
the dynamics, the things that happen in politics, it's not the things that we see with our eyes. If, for instance, my brother is here, he feels so peeved about the way the things were done. It's okay, I'm part of the campaign team. Whatever strategy you go to see that to map up, he calls me on phone, Fred, he sent me a text message, while his meeting is going on, his phone is on, I'm listening, I'm recording. These things will happen in politics. So the man is part of you, he's smiling and laughing with you, but hey, all your information is out there for your opponent to use against. You be saying this is here now. But
this was what Spio Gabra said, isn't it?
well, if you remember
Who's
that
now
one,
inside?
if you remember that
Will
one,
he be pissing in?
No, I think it's my time to speak.
Okay, speak.
Yeah, it's
But I
okay,
just
yeah.
wanted to.
You're harassing
recall-
him, sir.
Yes, I think it's my time. I'm
Continue.
not saying this out
Continue.
of any mischief. I'm just making.
It's only making a neutral comment. Take
that's
it in
right.
good faith.
Oh,
You
it's in
don't,
good faith.
you don't seem to be tolerating his
Oh, I
comments.
am. I am.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked. But it's my brother.
It's
so-
the first interjection.
It's my
It's the
brother,
first
so I have to
interjection.
tolerate him. So, well, we wish them well. I can only wish them people
Okay.
well. One thing I know for certain is that we are retiring Anado from politics.
Okay,
in
we do
2016.
understand all the comments you're making about the retirement.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's going to dominate the discussions as the whole politicking or the electioneering tends to heat up prior to 2016. The
But we're
point
going to look
is,
at the major issue.
yeah, we'll look
Okay,
at I don't know whether this is premature for us to discuss the message of what the Nanado team and the MPP team will be for 2016 preemptively. If you take the subject of education and foremost had been, or at the thrust of the whole discussion had been free SHS and the need to improve basic as well as senior high, secondary and tertiary education holistically to make sure that we channel the right resources for the country. Then there's the other aspect about the phrase that was coined in 2012 about Gorgesburg economy, etc.
Sure.
And all that. If you take a look holistically at what the policy and the projections were for the MPP back in 2012, all these have been touched on. Have been touched on by the present government. So what message will be?
Touched upon. But let me.
I'm not saying that they have completed
Sure.
in dealing with
Yes.
the subjects as far as that, but they're touching on them.
Sure. I mean, and it's interesting that our manifesto in 2012 is now the blueprint for President
In
John
what way?
Dramani Mahama. I mean, you're looking at free SHS. I'm sure Fred was with me on several platforms whereby he said it was not possible. We said free quality SHS is possible.
Are you quoting me?
I'm quoting you.
I'm not sure you're quoting me.
Yes, and we've been on platforms whereby Fred has been of the view that free SHS, free quality SHS, was not possible. There are certain pillars of development that are sacrosanct, not for the MPP, but for Ghana. And so as you say, in terms of the preemptiveness of our campaign message will continue to be about Ghana's onward trajectory. I'm talking about adding value to the lives of the people. And you do that by, first and foremost, making sure that the human resource of everybody, educationally, that we are all given a level playing field. And so that is a pillar of development that will continue. It was under President Kufuor that FQ, Free Compulsory Universal Basic Education, became a reality. I'm talking about the free component, whereby beforehand, if you didn't have money for certain school materials, you were sent home. And so that monetary aspect was captured by the MPP and was paid. And you had children being able to go to school. When it became an issue of about, oh, well, if we go to school, there's no food. Free school feeding was a social intervention that was put in to encourage parents and children to go to school. The
It was donor funded though.
yes, but
later the donors withdrew.
no, but you know, you say that. But let's look at the import of what it is that we wanted to do. It wasn't about
You mean the policy objective
the
in
policy
itself?
objective. And it's not about continually being at the behest of the donors. I'm happy that donor funding is withdrawn because it got to a point where they said Ghana is a lower middle income
In any
country.
case, it's still being continued by
Sure,
government.
yes, but the point that I'm making is this. As a country, we shouldn't be always running to the donors. Under President Kufuor, under the NPP, of which Nana Addo was a key part of that government, both as Attorney General and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we made sure that we weaned ourselves, we removed ourselves from the Bretton Woods institutions.
But
the NDC took us back there.
Let me make this
So
intervention. For example,
okay.
for all the social intervention programs that you tend to mention of,
Yes.
you're making mention of the FQ intervention that was marginally captured by the Kufuor administration.
Yes.
Then we're talking about maternal health
Sure.
policy, which was also free, but also I think was a grant or something of the sort. So all these then as social intervention policies, government and its finances had to absorb. At the end of the day, it becomes the burden of the taxpayer. And these are also continuing, albeit sometimes the funding going in there in terms of the allocations delay, etc. But the point I'm making is they've been taken care of. I mean, it's a policy of the NPP or was started by the
Sure.
NPP, but they've been taken care of.
Yes, but
they've been absorbed
Sure.
as government
So
policy.
you're saying,
or state
what is our
policy.
message now? That's the point you're making.
Good.
Well, let's look at the NHIS, and that's the vehicle through which we are taxed to fund the maternal health care that you just mentioned, for example. What is the situation of the NHIS now? Right now, we have a cash and carry system back in Kumasi.
That's not true.
It is true. It is true. You pay before you're serviced. It is true, Roland. And I think it would be of a
As a
disservice.
policy, we don't have a cash and carry system in
The
Ghana.
reality is what we're looking about. It's like Ghana. It's like the NDC saying we're not broke, but you're going to the IMF begging for money.
That's your point.
When you look at the Bank of Ghana receipts, you can say we're not broke, but the reality is we are broke because you have a government whereby there's so much corruption. You have National Service Secretariat, 7.9 million Ghana cedis in July alone being siphoned off, and you have a director bribing BNI officials 100,000 Ghana not to take it. You have JIDA, 950 million Ghana. You have SUBA, Isofoton. Recently, you had the Ghana ambassador to Japan, Mr. Kofi Agbenechu Day. Excuse me if I haven't pronounced his name correctly, but he's the ambassador to Japan.
That's the government.
Yes,
Oh.
whereby he's being called to answer questions as to why property of the mission in Japan, in Tokyo.
You know he's been with the foreign affairs for all these years.
But
But do you acknowledge that some of these things,
hold on.
as a result of a dissipation
Let me answer your question.
Yes,
You
please.
say he's been with the Foreign Service all these years, but under whose watch does he feel the freedom to go and let out mission property to Japanese gamblers? He's been called to account for that. I'm giving instances. That's for you to look at.
Called by who? I'm just asking.
No, the chief
Okay,
director is saying
yes.
that investigations had been
Are on.
undertaken.
So
That's what
government
it
has
is.
called him.
Yes, government has called him. And, I'm happy you.
The ambassador has not been replaced, though.
Oh, thank
you know,
you.
we have a new ambassador.
But the point that we're making, sometimes it's musical chairs. Honorable Eversafri Yankra, with all the corruption that took place in Brazil.
Fair comment.
No,
Hold on.
There's no conclusion.
I haven't even landed. So what you're saying is
No, you said corruption, but because it's not been concluded that there was corruption.
Musical chairs. You say it's been
No,
replaced.
you use a certain word. You said corruption.
Yes.
At the ministry or whatever took place.
But I didn't land, and you want
You want to talk
preempt what
about
I'm
the
saying.
World Cup.
I'm talking about the World Cup.
I'm preventing you from making statements that
Yes.
will likely put this very platform. And
No, sure. And I'm saying that, no, it's a fact. We are all watching the Brazil 2014, and we are seeing clearly
The inquiry.
that there are corrupt practices, whereby somebody brings a tender to say that this is my tender in cities, and you are saying no, you should be in dollars.
So you're saying all these happen under the watch of
Oh
government?
yes, and I mentioned Honorable Eversafri Yankra purely because you said the Ghana ambassadors to Japan had been replaced, and I was citing the case that when you have musical chairs, you can replace him. Where is he now? That's the question you need to be asking. And then the fact is, on whose watch? I mean, how do you get the audacity to lend out government property to Japanese gamblers unless the environment allows you to do so? It's a free-for-all right now. You know, how is it that RLG and Jospong Group can write to the Ministry of Finance and say the
But
community.
those are, I want you see, you make some of these comments, and there have been investigations that have been conducted.
Sure.
Conclusions have been made to report, and these reports have been submitted.
Yes.
And as far as I believe that everybody in Ghana knows, investigations that have been concluded, there have been onward investigations that have been also conducted, and even prosecutorial activities have begun. So sometimes, are you making it for propaganda's sake or for politics' sake, or you're saying actions have not been taken at all?
I'm answering a question. The
Okay.
reason why I'm citing these examples.
Okay,
is to
I want to ask because you've been on this for a long time.
Sure,
So let me ask.
but yeah, but
so conclude.
yes,
conclude.
I'm citing. I'll conclude.
So we're talking about a message, and
I'm
then
talking
now
about a
you're
message.
going on.
Yes, because
this.
initially we were talking about whether or not it's a reality or not. You're saying that these policies have been absolved. So what is the message? And I start by saying NHIS has now been run down.
So now from corruption you go to where?
Yes, in terms of making sure that we continue to add value to Ghanaians and making sure that we have an honest government. This is the import of what I'm saying.
Okay.
We have an honest government.
So you have an honest government.
Yes, because we have an honest leader. We have an honest leader without any blemish in terms of any
Currently, government is
financial-
not honest.
No, they're not honest.
Okay.
They are not honest.
Yeah.
And I think we have a whole Chief Justice, Justice of the Courts, Honorable Doche, saying that we have a government here, or an administration, that creates, loots, and shares. So when you have the pinnacle of our justice system, who are the overseers of how we govern our nation, saying that this particular administration creates, loots, and shares, you don't have an honest government. You don't have an honest leader in President John Dramani.
But you know, there's these allegations also leveled on the judiciary for decades that they also seem to be corrupt.
Well,
allegations. Okay, anyway, but let me ask you. So now it's as if it's a touch and go. The NPP says they had policies they had intended to implement if they had been in government. It seemed to have been hijacked by your government. Moreover, they're not being implemented adequately.
Well, I think that this year's 2016 elections will be very, very interesting in this country. We have so many things to talk about, and it will be interesting. Ghanaians are waiting for that time. I am surprised my brother is talking the way he's talking. Maybe it's not very conversant with where we have come from as a country. If he is, some of the allusions he has made now, he wouldn't have.
He's been in this country all this while.
No,
I'm
he was
sure.
outside. I was in France doing a lot of business. I just came back a lot of
Oh, listen to him.
I was in France doing a lot of business.
In 1990, where were you?
Can I continue?
I mean, no, you won't continue. In 1990, I've been here since.
Okay.
You see, go and check the 1992 Constitution.
Yeah.
The 1990 Constitution that is governing this country today was a constitution that was drafted and put into place by this same NDC predecessor, the PNDC. When we were drafting that particular constitution, people from your stock told us that we had assembled fishermen, we had assembled taxi drivers and tractor drivers, we had assembled farmers, ordinary Ghanaians. They are the elite of society, and therefore they were not going to be part of the drafting of this constitution. It is in that constitution that provision was made for free education. Go and check in that particular constitution that Ghana we should have F-cube, and then we shall have progressively free education from secondary school all the way to the university. It's a constitutional provision. If you check, the constitution says that when the constitution comes into being, 5 years after, we should roll the F-cube.
So you are saying that
the background work under the late Harry Sawyer, then the Minister of Education, they have started all the background work before you came into office, and then you started rolling the program. So don't come and take credit for F-cube.
So you are saying it's a constitutional mandate.
If he says
it's
that,
not a party mandate. That's what you're saying.
Okay. If he says that it is their campaign slogan, campaign whatever, that kind of blueprint of government we are doing today, then the man doesn't really understand where we have come from and where we are today. This is your flag bearer who appeared for BBC Hard Talk. They asked him, Mr. Flag bearer, long before 2012, you've been talking about free education. How much is it going to cost you to implement this program? He said, we are costing. Mr. Candidate, are you saying it's costing something you've been talking about since 2007? He said, well, we have done it. So tell us how much it is. He said, when I get back home, I'll tell my people. The man got back home. The man didn't know what exactly it was going to take to roll that program.
That's an exaggeration of the subject.
You didn't watch. I'll get you the tape.
We all watched.
Can you allow me to go?
Okay, finish.
I'll get you the tape. Watch the man. The man came back. This is the man who appeared before the IEA debate. There's the man. Maternal mortality is happening in this country. What are you going to do to become the president of this country? He said, I'm going to do free senior secondary school. Then people ask, why? Is it free senior secondary school you're going to solve maternal mortality in this country? So this is a man, you see, we'll get there. Now you call President Mahama clueless. He called President Mahama a man who doesn't know anything. We are going to put him there. This is Nana Akufo-Addo as an attorney general. What did you do? When he goes to court and go and say the president versus Atutu Carter, is that what the lawyer is supposed to be? A senior lawyer we are supposed to? We'll get there. This is a man who was the foreign minister in this country. When 40 Ghanaians were murdered in Gambia, what did he do about it? So we'll come to the core of the issue. We'll come to the developmental issues. Corruption, don't go there. Ghanaians know today that when you take the word corruption out, the only word that can come into your mind next is MPP. That will be the best replacement for it.
I don't get your point.
I'm saying that when you talk about the subject of corruption, people who are corrupt, people you cannot trust the resources of this country, that is MPP. We know what they did in power for the 8 years. Why? It is true under this administration, a few things are happening that shouldn't happen. The question is, what is the president doing about it? What is the president doing? Office of Accountability was set up under your administration. He had the presidency. We had a then president tell the people of this country, well, I am not going to investigate these things and collapse my government. I am not going to follow media allegations. So a road minister can engage himself in all manner of dubious activities. His ministry was for 2 good years. No substantive minister was appointed in that direction, which investigation body has pronounced any judgment on the free anchor. This is a government that has gone to the World Cup. The first time I went to the World Cup was in 2006, that or so. When we came back, did we constitute any investigation team to find out what happened at the World Cup? 2010, we went and came back. Because the team performed, nobody did anything. President Mahama said, this thing cannot continue. We need to get to the bottom of it. Let's open it up. Let's put it on national television. That is a government that wants to be transparent. The people must know exactly what happened there. Investigations are going on. People have invited them to come and tell their stories. I think on any day, the people of Ghana will appreciate a government like that, a government they can trust, a government that will open its doors down. You're talking JIDA. What happened to JIDA? Nobody hid it. A committee was set up. They did all the investigation. The report came into the public domain. As we speak today, members of our government, a member of parliament from our government is in court. The minister is there.
And you're saying what? It wouldn't have happened on the MPP?
MPP could have happened. Jesus Christ of Nazareth.
You know, you had
Please,
an
can
MPP.
you allow me?
Can you?
Oh, I was watching the time.
Oh, continue.
You started at 40 and finished at 50.
You continue.
I was looking for only 5 minutes.
I'm allowing you. Continue.
I was watching the time. Yes, I was watching. The viewers were watching the time. So allow me.
Oh, I'll allow you.
You understand? So you cannot come and sit on this platform and be talking to us about corruption. These are the group of people who came into office. Ghana Airways, yes, it may not be in the best of state. What they do, they sold Ghana Airways, properties of Ghana Airways, including houses and everything. They sold it among themselves. Where today we have the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, go and check that particular building. They sold those land to themselves as low as 1,000 Ghana cedis. That's how bad they can be. So these people come and sit here today and talk about corruption with the things that happen in this country. See, he's talking about all the plans they did, they leveraged in good institution. President Kufuor was a privileged president. When he came, he said Ghana was broke. He was going to IMF to do this epic stuff. He went there, debt cancellation. Our debt, about 6.4 billion, over 4 billion were cancelled, forgiven. Grants were coming in, left, right, center, everything. Most of the projects that we did in this country, the Winnibaro, grant, free money. You have a government that we say we have, our status has changed. We are now a middle income, lower middle income country. All these grants, you reminded him, but the man will not listen. School feeding program, free money, Munjina Monkoye. They got the money. They were feeding Ghanaian people with maggot-infected tomatoes and bad rice. The people got mad and
no,
said,
it's not true. It's not something that was country. There were some areas, some communities.
Okay, thank you for the correction, but let me continue.
Yes, but you can't use that to generalize.
Thank you, let me continue. Thank you. I'm sorry. These are the people. Why? These women going to deliver free of charge. You reminded him. Again, the man will not listen. Free money from the British government. Take. Go and do this thing. What has happened to it? A father is the one who lives and leaves a legacy for the children and children's children. If indeed you left a robust economy, you left a country that was good, things were well, no government will come into office in 2009 just after you have exited power and go back to the Bretton Woods institution. What it means is that you didn't leave a good legacy. You didn't do the right thing. The economy was in shambles.
Now, Fred, let me remind you.
Now,
Fred,